Really good to hear that. Foo Fighters, Rope, and it was Avicii, I Could Be The One before it, and it's 20 to 5 on Wednesday. And this is Greg James. Thank you for having a listen, and I hope your day's winding to a close nicely. I've got Rihanna to play for you in a second. I've got Vaccines to play for you. Also that new Zed record as well, Clarity, all between now and 5 o'clock. And as it's Wednesday, we have another edition of Secret Teacher. If you've never listened to this part of the show before, maybe you missed it last time. Secret Teacher is our way of telling you what it's like to be a newly qualified teacher, because we all know what it's like to start school. We all know how scary that is, to be the first day at big school. But imagine you're a teacher and you've just gone through all that training. You're not that much older, and in some cases shorter than some of the sixth formers, and it is terrifying. So what we've done is we've scoured the land and we've found a teacher who's willing to tell us her thoughts on a weekly basis. It's a real teacher. We can't give the identity, although over the last few weeks, the stuff that this person's been doing pretty much gives the game away, because there's no one else like this. Secret Teacher has gone through so many ups and downs, I think it's fair to say, including a couple of weeks ago when it was all snowy, they had a snow day. All the kids weren't at school, but the teachers went in, they had a lovely time, they were doing snowballs and all sorts of things.
I spent the day at the closed school with all my teacher buddies. The kids weren't around, we had a great day. Had a teachers versus teaching assistants snowball fight. We won. Made a rude snowman sculpture of the headmaster, which I added snow breasts to, and hit Miss Perfect with a snowball right in the face, with a very accurate shot from the other side of the car park. Plus, I actually got a load of work done.
There you go. That was last week's Secret Teacher instalment. This week's episode 11 is coming up next. And Miss Perfect, her nemesis, does feature again. Rihanna and Mickey Echo is called Stay, and it's on Radio 1, 4:45. Time for Secret Teacher, episode 11. And we've gone through the snowy day. We are now at a horrible, horrible time of year. This time of year.
So, Miss Perfect is helping supervise the mock exams this morning, and so she needed someone to cover her Year 7 class, who have been described as a challenge. I thought this would be a great opportunity to get my own back on her and set loads of written work for the kids, so she'll have to spend all weekend marking. I jumped at the chance.
Wonderful. She's a brilliant nemesis, is Miss Perfect. As we've learnt, our secret teacher is kind of a rebel. When she was at school, she'd probably be the sort of person who would disrupt the class, sit at the back of the bus, that sort of thing, and maybe smoke behind the bike sheds, which we don't condone, by the way. But this is her way of getting her own back on her rival. It's perfect.
The kids walked in and were very noisy, so I put my stern face on and looked at my watch to make them quiet. This usually works, but they just carried on talking.
We had a teacher at school who was, he sort of did a crescendo of stop talking. So when he'd walk into a noisy science classroom, his name was Mr. Smith, it really was, and he'd walk in, it would be so noisy, and he'd just go, yeah, stop talking. Nothing would happen. They'd wait, and he'd go, yeah, stop talking. A bit louder. Yeah, stop talking. They'd keep, stop talking! Why all the constant noise? What is it with you people? That's true. That was Mr. Smith, and hello if you're listening. He used to wear little Slazenger jumpers, Mr. Smith. He used to sort of float around the classroom. Anyway.
Now, I never usually shout, as it tells the kids that they've won. However, for the first time, I shouted. I shouted so loud that the class next door went quiet. I was bright red in the face, and the children were stunned.
I mean, we've all been there. One of my teachers shouted so hard that he fainted once. That's true. And one of them actually had a breakdown for real.
Whilst in shouting mode, I heard the door go, and I looked around to see a child stood there, looking at me, smiling. I couldn't stop shouting. How dare you turn up late to my lesson? Who on earth do you think you are? The Year 7 promptly burst into tears and handed me a note. Turns out Miss Perfect had sent him to pick up some extra paper for the exam hall.
Oh dear.
And he wasn't even part of the class. I just made an 11-year-old cry for no reason whatsoever. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah, you are, secret teacher. You really are. This is probably the lowest you've been, actually, secret teacher. I mean, but that's classic teacher lines. But then the other classic teacher lines are things like, right, if you're not going to listen, I know this stuff. I've done my exams. This is not for my benefit. I don't need to be here. What I should have done, in my older years now, you wanted to reply and just go, actually, sir, you do, because you are employed by the school. You have to teach me.
To try and make up for my angry outbursts, I high-fived a student as they entered my classroom and hit her right in the nose. She was fine, but I had to pop to medical as she's prone to nosebleeds.
Unbelievable. Calamity teacher. So then, what are the lessons this week?
Lessons for the class this week. Never shout in a classroom. It leads to children crying. Literally. Careful how you enthusiastically high-five a student. It can also lead to children crying. Literally. Stop making children cry. In general.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite a good message for all teachers. Vaccines and no hope on Radio 1. Classic teacher lines. Not for my benefit. I've done my GCSEs. Loads more coming in. Hi, Dave.
You all right?
Are you a teacher?
I am, yeah.
What happened to you?
Sorry?
What happened? What's happened?
What we do, we are probably not very professional, but we have an unofficial point system. So if you make a kid cry, you get points. So year 7's like a 1 point, and year 11's are like 10. Well, if it's a lad, it's more 15, 20.
Really? So for like for sixth formers, 20 points?
Well, there's no sixth form where I work, but
okay.
The older you are, the more points you get.
How many points are you on, Dave?
Not too many this year.
Okay.
But some people get quite high.
Hey, you need to up your game, Dave. You need to start being more. You need to be more hard, don't you? We've got Alex in Long Eaton who says another classic teacher line is, "The bell is for me, not for you." Do you use that one?
No.
Are you a PE teacher, Dave?
No, science and maths.
Science and maths. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. See, he's opening another world. You don't realise these teachers actually playing games with us all the time. This is Zed and Clarity on Radio 1. Hi, Dan, who says, Gregory, my dad was a teacher. His nickname was the Destroyer. He'd walk into a classroom and the room would instantly go quiet. The power of the man that is my father. Maybe a bad BO and everyone just scattered. Zoe says, classic one from my teacher is, I don't get to go home for a few more hours, so the longer I wait, the longer you can stay after school too. Every teacher I have says that, says Zoe. It's true, it's another classic one. Brian on the way home from work says, I like how Dave, the teacher, felt the need to clarify his point system and said that it was unofficial. I know, but that's the sort of dodgy things that go on at schools. Another classic one from my old French teacher, Monsieur Maillard. This is true. He got mixed up when he got angry, and if people were noisy or messing around, he would go, excuse me, how old are you, 5 o'clock? And that happened, and he never lived it down, ever, Monsieur 5 o'clock.